Fighting games have been in the video game scene for decades now, dating all the way back to 1987 with the original Street Fighter. This genre has been on a constant evolution since its introduction. From arcades to console, 16-bit to 32-bit, 2D to 3D, along with these graphical improvements came many changes to the standard gameplay, some of which were mere glitches at first but would be inducted as real features in the next entry. An example of this would be the very combo system that every fighting game has adopted since. Fighting games became more complex. 4 buttons became 6. 6 became 8. Motion inputs went from simple quarter circle inputs to half circles, full circles, and even pretzel motions. Some games allow you to switch characters after a round. Some let you switch in the middle of a round. All of these things came together to add a level of complexity to these games, which could make it difficult for the average person to pick up and play a fighting game. But instead of adding to all this complexity, what if we made the game simpler? Removing all these strange mechanics with character switching, wall breaking, snap backing, if that's even a word. What if the game was simplified? So much so that it removes the need for motion inputs entirely.
Thunder strikes in the blackness of night. Heaven tremble as it reverberates. Spear and sword that pierce through the twilight. As the scythes brandish the paveway. Wake up to the cold touch of metal. Among us right among endless howling. As the smoke seep into my senses. Looking for the world I believe in. Hear my soul with peace and quiet.
Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising is a re-release of Granblue Fantasy Versus, and it may just be the best fighting game for anyone to pick up and play as their entry into the genre. Instead of adding all these complicated systems and mechanics to wow the fighting game veterans, GB Rising takes a step away from this and gives us arguably the easiest fighting game for anyone to pick up and learn, while still containing a high skill ceiling for the professionals to enjoy. The original Granblue Fantasy Versus was similarly a very simple game to get into, but it was held back by some major setbacks. For one, it was developed to be a little too simple, and with the lack of any real special gimmicks in the game at launch, it made the game a little bare bones. While there would be more interesting gimmicks added later to spice up the gameplay, it was a little too late, as the game was released right before the global pandemic. Thus, it needed to have good online netcode to survive the lockdown. It had the state-of-the-art rollback netcode, right?
And this is what delay-based netcode is like, with its crazy varying input latency. You're having a great time, I'm playing the game, and some dude walks behind you and starts shaking the out of you. Like, you're just like, Jesus, I'm trying to play the game!
Nope! Delay-based netcode plagued this game, with long input delays and constant freezing mid-match. Thankfully, rollback netcode is the new standard for fighting games online, and any game that doesn't have it, or that hasn't been upgraded to use it, gets left in the dust and buried alive. I would recommend looking up an explanation behind what rollback netcode is. But all you need to know is that rollback is what saved all these fighting games from falling apart in an environment where online tournaments are the safest option. Even though the pandemic is over, the game is still thriving 1 year after its launch, because not only is the online scene still alive and active, but the in-person tournaments are still going strong. The game has been on the main stage at EVO across the world, and has even been nominated for Fighting Game of the Year. Despite its obscurity, it has its fans and a plethora of content creators.
But means we might be here for a while.
So the first thing is learn your anti-combos.
Now, let's move into the next section, explaining the gameplay. This might take a while. As mentioned earlier, Granblue is a very simplified version of a traditional fighting game. Traditional meaning that the game takes place on a 2D plane, where you have a limited range of motion. You can move forward and backwards, jump and crouch, but there's a little more you can do for movement. By holding the dedicated dash button, you can run forward or short step backwards. These are the basics of movement, but characters may have other methods of moving, like double jumps, air dashes, and floats. But let's keep it simple with Gran, the protagonist, who has the easiest options in the game to understand. Looking up, let's look at these gauges. We have a few things to mention. The big green and or blue bar is your health. The smaller bar with the percentage is your skybound gauge. The 4 symbols next to it are your skill cooldowns. And above the health bar are 3 diamonds. These are your bravery points, or BP. Next, let's go over the buttons. You have the light attack for quick and snappy hits, medium attack for a little more power and range, and the heavy attack for slower but more damaging attacks. These attacks can be modified in different ways. You can hold down and press the light and medium attack for low striking blows. Hold down and press heavy to swipe the foe out of the air. Jump and press these buttons to attack in the air, allowing you to leap forward and strike the opponent on the way down. Press these buttons when close enough to the opponent to perform a close attack, allowing you to perform an auto combo of 3 hits. Or you can start running to the opponent and press the attack button for a unique dash attack. Additionally, there's one more button, the unique action. Every character has their own distinct unique action that is tailored to their kit. Gran and Jita, for example, have a chargeable strike that changes the properties depending on how much you charge. Their charge level can be seen by their health bar at the top. You can also perform a universal sweep attack by crouching and pressing the unique button, or jump and press the unique button for a special air action. Let's look at the extra buttons and their functions. You can block incoming attacks. By moving away from the opponent, you will automatically guard incoming attacks. Or you can hold the designated block button. Some attacks are lows, meaning you have to crouch while blocking to stop them. While holding the guard button, you can perform a spot dodge by pressing backwards. This will instead evade the incoming attack rather than guarding it. Pressing forward can perform a dodge step. Using this will advance you forward while dodging incoming attacks. However, it can be punished a lot easier than a spot dodge. Next is the throw button. You can press the designated throw button to grab the opponent and throw them. You can hold backwards while throwing to toss them behind you. You can even grab in the air. This is an unblockable move, meaning the opponent has to dodge it or use a throw escape, by pressing the light attack button or by pressing the throw button at the exact same time as the opponent. Be careful though, this option is a lot harder than simply pressing the light attack button, but it's safer than pressing the light button to escape the throw. Now, let's get into the real fun, the skill button. Granblue Rising simplifies it all into a single button. Every single character has a unique set of up to 3 or 4 skills, which are performed by pressing the skill button in combination with the direction. Let's look at Gran. Pressing the skill button with Gran fires a Reagan Lave, a quick fireball that travels across the screen. Pressing down or back and the skill button performs Overdrive Surge, a lunging slash or a flying kick. And then finally, with forward and the skill button, we get Rising Sword, a swift rising attack to catch people out of the air. All of these can be modified by pressing the light, medium, heavy, or unique attack buttons at the same time as the skill button, giving them new and improved properties. Medium skills are typically slower, but deal bigger damage and have a better effect on hit. Gran's Reaganlay, for example, if used with the medium button, will perform an upward slash before shooting a fireball. Heavy skills are incredibly fast and powerful, but they will put the school on a cooldown. And finally, the unique button allows you to perform ultimate skills, which take 50% of your Skybound Arts gauge to throw out an extra powerful variant of the skill. By pressing the skill gauge combined with the throw button, you can perform a Skybound Art, a powerful attack with invincibility and high damage. This can only be performed when your Skybound gauge is at 100%. Or you can press the throw, skill, and heavy attack buttons at the same time to perform your super Skybound art, which deals even more damage. However, this can only be done when at 30% health or less, making it a good comeback mechanic. Lastly, there's one more function, Raging Strike. By pressing medium and heavy together, you can perform a slow guard-breaking attack that can lead into a combo. Or it can be used in the middle of a combo to give you some extra hits. However, this attack will cost a BP, or bravery point as pointed out earlier, which can cause you to take more damage as a result. And it's rather easy to avoid a Raging Strike with a spot dodge or a basic light attack, so using it as a combo tool is usually a better option. Speaking of combos, this game has a very easy to understand combo structure, but can have some complexity with certain characters. Before I run out of time with this explanation, let's simplify it as best as I can. Your combos will usually consist of a medium or heavy auto combo to start, followed by a heavy skill with a lot of hits done like Brand's Reagan lead, followed by another hit into another skill. Strike the opponent again, then do a Raging Strike, and then finish with your Skybound art if you have a full gauge. This is a simple route that most characters can perform. But every character has different combo structure and even different options. I would recommend looking for a character that you find interesting, whether visually or through a gameplay lens. Then try them out in the training mode and arcade mode to understand their basics. With that long explanation out of the way, how about we go into something that's a little bit more interesting. So I've explained how the game works, but how about we look at actual gameplay and specific scenarios that will come in. I would show the full matches, however, with how long this footage is, it can be a little bit boring to watch 20 minutes of just fighting. So I will cut to specific areas in these fights and explain what's going on. So let's start with this first scenario. So in the middle of a fight, there's a high chance that you will get launched into a wall or hit with an attack that will put you on the floor. Once you land on the floor, you will start to slowly get up off the ground. While this is happening, the opponent has the advantage and can get up close and start pressuring you. In this scenario, there's a few things that you can do. For one, you can throw a raw Skybound art if they are just swinging at you wildly. If they're doing something a bit more calculated, it's best to guard when you get up. Or if you have the option, you can use an invincible reversal if you see them jump into the air. Next up is a little trick for block pressure in this game called frame trapping. So when you're pressuring someone who's guarding, there's a little tactic that you can do called frame trapping, where you throw out two moves with a slight gap between them, so that if the opponent tries to go for a different move, then they will immediately be caught by the second attack. Here you can see that I hit him with my medium claw swipe and then left a short delay in there before throwing out my 6 claws attack, that being that barrage of slashes that you saw. In that scenario, he tried to hit me out of it and got caught doing so. A little short tip that I like to give is when you are going for something called wake-up pressure. Now this happens when the opponent is getting up off the ground and you go in to start swinging. We sort of mentioned this earlier, but to go over it, when the opponent's getting off the ground, typically you want to start pressuring them immediately or fake them out so that they use an unsafe option and you can punish them. Here you can see me run up on my opponent and immediately go for a low attack. So this is a quick little one about heavy counters. So this can happen when you intercept an opponent's attack with your heavy attack, and when this happens, the screen will flash red and the opponent will be stunned for a little bit longer. In this scenario, you can usually throw out slower moves and they will connect, so it lets you get better combos for more damage. So the next scenario, and one of my favorites in the game, is a clash situation. Now, this happens when two attacks of the same priority collide with each other. In this scenario, you gain 10% of your Skybound Arts gauge. On top of that, the game freezes for a second, and in that second, you can cancel your attack with anything you want. You can cancel it with a guard to be safe, with a spot dodge. You can jump scare the opponent by canceling it with a super, or you can do what I did and just keep pressing the button, so that if the opponent tries to go for something like a skill that might be a little bit slower, you'll catch them out of the skill pretty much every time. Now, the next thing to talk about are reversals. So I've mentioned this many times before. I've mentioned this word previously in the video, and let's go over a quick explanation. So reversals are any move that is invincible at the start that you can use to intercept an opponent's attack. Now, there's multiple different types of reversals. Most Skybound Arts are reversals, but most characters in the game have just a standard reversal that they can perform, typically with forward and the skill button. Now, granted, this isn't every character, but in this specific interaction, since both of us have some sort of reversal, Narmaya has her EX counter as well as a reversal in her sheathed stance, and Eustace has his ultimate skill with his combat knife where he rises up with a lightning strike, and it is fully invincible from the start. Now, these moves are used to intercept the opponent's attacks if they are swinging, so typically you see them used on Wake Up, or if the opponent is running in recklessly, typically you should go for a reversal to get them off. In this specific clip, you can see multiple reversals back to back as we were both using them in pretty much the exact same scenario. And that's everything I wanted to talk about. Now, granted, there's a lot more that I could bring up with this game because fighting games have a lot going on with them, but I felt that if I went on for any longer, this video would end up getting far too long and would be a little bit boring. So I hope if you're still watching this, you aren't half asleep. This video was done as a final project for a class that I am taking in college, and this whole final part, by the way, is completely unscripted, so I apologize if I am stuttering over words. I used this final project kind of to reinvigorate myself to start editing a bit more, since I was kind of losing the motivation to do so. So I hope I can use this editing style for my YouTube channel, and I hope if there's anyone else who is watching this video that you enjoyed what I've done with this video, because I don't plan to stop just yet. I think I want to do more for this channel and possibly do more video essays of this format, as it was kind of fun going in and doing all that special editing. Of course, it was unnecessary for the class, but whatever. I had fun doing it. Anyways, that is the end of all this. I hope you all enjoyed it, and that'll be it.